Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Gaming Gig Podcast, we're discussing, should Xbox stop making consoles?
All right, Daniel, looking forward to talking Xbox with you today. It's been on my mind a lot the past week, just for whatever reason. I don't even know that anything specific happened that made me think about this.
I think I was there for the nexus of this getting, brainwormed in your mind here, because I think I'm gonna take a little credit here, because I think me saying I wasn't ever gonna buy another Xbox because of my PC got you going on this.
It did. It kind of set me down ended up being like a week long just contemplating Xbox and all things Xbox, and kind of made me think should Xbox even be making consoles?
Right.
We all know that the sales of the Xbox Series X and S have not been stellar. They've been okay.
Yeah.
But I think that Microsoft has openly admitted that they haven't been the best. They've kind of lacked. And they kind of have attributed, at least Phil Spencer has attributed it to the fact that it's because of the fact that Xbox lost against the PS4, the Xbox One underperformed. So now he said there's no catching up because people created their digital libraries back on the PS4 era, Xbox One era, and now that since your digital library is transferred with you this generation, you're going to want to stick with where all your games are at.
So he's blaming it on the prior generation's games.
Yes.
Okay.
He's blaming it. Well, he's blaming it on the lack of success of the Xbox One, whether it's the games or not. But he's blaming it on that. Now, I think that there are some other reasons. In fact, I put out a poll kind of asking what's the main reason for the Xbox XS not selling as well, and I didn't even include that option.
Right.
And you know what? Not a single comment brought it up. Maybe one person did, but very few people were even talking about it because I think that there's other reasons.
I think there's a lot. I think it's a combination for sure, and I think you guys did too, because at 67% people said, well, not enough compelling exclusives. I mean, I think that's a pretty obvious one to everybody.
Yeah.
19% too much overlap with the PC market, which definitely has been on my mind. 6% comparative lack of brand loyalty. I don't know I know a lot of PlayStation guys, but I don't know as many Xbox guys anymore. I used to know a lot.
Yeah.
9% said Xbox is too focused on Game Pass.
Right. And we'll kind of get into each of these topics individually because I think there's a conversation to be had about all of them. And, starting with not enough compelling exclusives, that's the main narrative that you hear from everybody, is that Xbox just doesn't have the games that people are interested in.
Right. Back in their heyday, man, Xbox was popping off, specifically with Halo. I always think about Halo. Yeah,
Halo was huge for them. But the last couple Halos haven't performed very well. And I think also the time for Halo has just come and gone. I mean, it's time for something else.
Yeah. Halo has become like the millennial shooter. It feels like.
Absolutely. But, it's not saying that Xbox isn't making games, but let's see what people have to say. So we have a comment here from Phoenix the Wolf, who said, I remember Phil Spencer's response to losing the console war during an interview. He said, a lot of people say that making great games sells your console, but it doesn't at all. But here's the problem. This is coming from a guy who doesn't make great games at all. Ouch. Right. So he's referencing that time that he said that it's not about the games, it's the fact that we lost back then, and now people are just sticking with what they had. But because remember, he said, there's no world in which Starfield comes out and is an 11 out of 10 game and everyone moves over to Xbox.
Well, he's right. There is no world in which Starfield is an 11 out of 10 game.
Yeah.
And everybody moved to Xbox. He's right. I couldn't agree with Phil more. But, to go, to play devil's advocate to his argument specifically, you have a brother who's been an Xbox guy for freaking ever.
Yeah, I mean, he was a kid, grew up in the Xbox 360 era, had an Xbox One, and then when the Xbox Series X came out, he got it pretty much near launch.
Yeah,
he's only been an Xbox guy,
and I bet you he has. Accrued quite a digital collection.
He has, yeah, for sure.
But recently, he got a PS5.
He did, and he loves it.
So that right there kind of disputes the argument that Phil is using, because that's a guy who had an Xbox digital library and he moved over anyway.
Right.
And why did he move over?
He wanted to play Spider-Man. And the thing is, he wanted to play the games.
Right. He wanted to play the game.
And he played Spider-Man 1, loved it, played Miles Morales, and now is almost done with Spider-Man 2, and he had powered through those. And he got it at Christmas.
He's already done with the first two, and he's already almost done with the third one?
Yeah, he's already put like, he's
Jesus.
already, and the thing is, he's playing Spider-Man 2. He's put in like 30, 40 hours on it, and he hasn't even finished it yet. I finished that game in 15. He's doing everything.
Wow, Jesse.
It's wild. It's wild.
What a champ.
So I would, absolutely disagree here. Not with the person who commented, but disagree with Phil saying, I think great games are what sells consoles.
Look at the Switch.
Look at this. Well, the Switch has a really great concept, I think.
It does.
Separate from the games.
That's true.
But I see what you're saying.
But it is also like super underpowered these days, and it still sells.
Right.
Because it's got great games. But you're right. It does have a concept that the Xbox ain't got.
No, for sure.
All right. We got another comment here from Zell. Zell said, most people vote for exclusive being the reason, but even if there were way more, I don't think the Xbox consoles would get much higher sale numbers as they can be played on PC already. Them ultimately not being limited to the console may be considered a good thing for both the consumer, as they have more options when it comes to playing it on a custom-made PC rather than a console, only that has some limitations, and for the company, it's also better as every console sold means a small loss.
So he's saying that they want you to play on PC. Like, and in fact, we did a podcast on this a very long time ago. I think it was actually back when the podcast was on the main Gaming Gig channel. We did
its infancy.
We did a podcast called "Does Xbox Care If You Own a Console?" And we came to the conclusion that we don't think they do care.
No,
and that's an interesting point here. But obviously, the Xbox has a huge overlap with the PC market, which is the reason why you said that you were never probably going to buy an Xbox again. Not because you don't like Xbox games, but it's because there's just so much overlap. With PC, there's just no point.
Yeah, and I know I want to have a PC.
Right.
Like, I know I want a PC, so I should just keep that updated, every so often, and I should be good to go with like 99% of the Xbox games I'd want to play, if not 100%.
Have you even turned on your Xbox at all recently?
No. I don't have any reason to.
Exactly. I mean, like, when was the last time? Probably to play Starfield, right? Was probably the last time you put on your Xbox.
And I played that on PC quite a bit, too.
So, and even that was probably you didn't have to.
And I will say, like, like you said, it's not that I don't like the Xbox games, and I'm not trying to crap on Xbox because, like this guy said, I do think it's really consumer friendly.
Oh, to have those options,
to let your games be in so many places, and I wish other people did that.
Yeah, like PlayStation is starting to do that, but they're waiting a few years generally before they bring the games to PC. And of course, Nintendo has never done it, never even thought about moving their games to anything besides their consoles.
Yeah, Nintendo's like, what is a PC?
Right. They literally try to act like it doesn't exist. And hey, I mean, it works for both Nintendo and PlayStation. It drives people to their consoles. But yeah, I mean, it is cool, but there is tons of overlap. And in fact, I think this is probably the main reason that the Xbox Series X and S haven't sold as well. I think personally that it is the overlap with the PC market, because it even affects me, and I'm a console gamer through and through. I have a gaming PC, but it's old and outdated. But even then, if I could see myself being okay with losing my Xbox, and I'd be all right with it.
Right.
All right, let's move on to the next comment here. We got one from Golden Hydrogen.
Golden Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. Okay. Xbox really suffers from a lack of identity. Most of the games it has are shared amongst PlayStation, PC, and even Switch occasionally, all of which, aside from the Switch, run better on the competition. Plus, while the PlayStation has graphics, PC has a wide selection, and the Switch has more fun gameplay, the Xbox is just sort of a jack of all trades, master of none among the big four.
The Xbox doesn't even have rechargeable batteries in the controller.
I don't think that's such a bad thing, but not to get off topic, but yeah, I mean, like a lot of games that you would consider to be Microsoft games, they are porting to other things. Like there's the rumor that Sea of Thieves may be ported to other systems, but you already have things like, I mean, what's probably the number one most valuable IP that Microsoft owns is probably Minecraft, and that's everywhere.
Right. Yeah, we were just talking to a friend last night at a gig who plays it on his Switch all the time.
Right. And I mean, we got other things like, let's think, what are some other IPs that Microsoft has put out? Cuphead, that's one that is gone.
Cuphead's awesome.
What is it? The Ori games, isn't that Microsoft? And they own that?
I didn't know that, but maybe it is.
Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah.
But, they have some of their games that are going other places. They don't always keep them locked down. And now with the Activision Blizzard thing, there's a good chance that we're going to, or definitely, it's not a good chance, it's written in contracts that we are going to see those Microsoft games, owned games, be on other consoles.
Including the Switch.
or whatever Nintendo's putting out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like a lack of identity for sure. I agree, because there's just, I guess you could think of Master Chief and Halo. You know, when you think of like, what do I think of when I think of Xbox? But Master Chief and Halo is outdated. You know, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, he's like a legacy mascot. You know, at this point, I mean, he's not fresh like he once was.
Right. And you know, like they could definitely turn Master Chief around. I think if they had, you know, the most recent Halo game has continued. People have continued to play it, and I do think that there is a future in which they could potentially, you know, continue to work on that game and turn people around on it and make people really excited about that game.
I haven't played the campaign, but I'm back into the multiplayer, and it's really good. I mean, it really is. So if anybody wants to play Halo Infinite and you got burned, you know, upon launch, like I would encourage you to try it again, because it's free and it is really good now. And they brought back a lot of the old Halo 3 maps. So what more could you ask for?
What more could you ask for?
All right, we get a comment here from Laninator, who said, I personally probably would not have purchased a Series X if not for Game Pass, and that's because, in my humble opinion, Xbox has struggled with putting out solid exclusives since the 360 era. See, I think we all agree with that.
Yeah, I thought IMHO stood for in my honest opinion. I thought it was honest opinion, not humble opinion, but I mean, like, you know.
What does IMHO mean?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In my humble opinion, says Google's generative AI.
See, I thought it was honest. See?
I bet you it's multi...
I thought it was honest.
Yeah, right here it says it could mean both.
Oh, it could mean both. So there you go.
Yeah, but I think Laninator here was being humble, not honest.
Yeah, he was being humble. No, I don't know. But Laninator said that he wouldn't have bought a Series X if it wasn't for Game Pass. And honestly, same. I didn't initially want a Series X when it came out. When the new consoles came out, I got a PS5. And then I think it was probably like a month or two later, I got a Series X. But the reason I got it was because I just wanted a Game Pass machine. And I didn't have an Xbox One to game, or I probably wouldn't have bought it, to be honest, because I just wanted to play Game Pass games. I guess I could have done that on my PC.
I had an OG Xbox One, like one of the original models. And I guess I could have just kept using that. Wouldn't have mattered much at this point.
And you did for a little while.
I did.
I mean, there was some crossovers time where we were playing, like, I think when we first started playing Sea of Thieves, you were playing on Xbox One and I was playing on Series X.
So. That's true. I did do that. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it's a thing, but I mean, like, so the argument, going back to the reason we're even talking about this, is some people have said that they think that Xbox is too laser focused on Game Pass. And because of that, they're not putting their time, their money, their effort into creating exclusive games that people want to play. Instead, they're putting their money into getting games from third parties to put their games on Game Pass so that they can sell more Game Pass subscriptions.
And I think there's a lot to that. I mean, we've often said Game Pass is it is a great deal. It really is if that's what you're looking for. Now, Randy's moved on to, GameFly. And I think he's found that that's a little better for his current situation.
Yeah. I don't use Game Pass unless I do occasionally subscribe to Game Pass and then I'll unsubscribe when I'm not using it.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
If something I really want to try is coming to Game Pass, I'll pick it up for a month.
Right.
But that's about it. I mean, I for a long time I had it and I loved it. I thought it was a great deal. And then I realized I was only playing Sea of Thieves. And I had probably spent like $100 and something to play Sea of Thieves.
Or more. Yeah.
And I was like, this is bullcrap.
Because a year of Game Pass, even in its cheapest tier, you're spending $120. And you probably had it for over a year before you changed. So who knows how much money you spent on Sea of Thieves when you should have just bought a used copy for $5 at GameStop,
Right. So I canceled.
Yeah. So you canceled.
And I haven't resubscribed except one time, and that was for like a month of Starfield.
Right. So... But so the question is Game Pass hurting the console sales, or is it helping the console sales? Because that's tough to say.
It's tough to say because you can get Game Pass in so many places. Right. So I don't even know how you go about quantifying that. To be honest with you,
because you don't have to have a console to play Game Pass. You don't even have to have a PC.
You just need a phone.
You just need a phone, or you can play it on anything that is like a device that can connect to the internet. You can get on there and you can cloud game.
Yep.
And get a decent experience. It may not be the best, but the fact that you don't have to, shell out $500 on a console or thousands of dollars on a gaming PC may be worth it. And I would argue is worth it for a lot of people.
Yeah, I would agree completely.
Yeah.
You got good internet, you want to try the games.
So let's move on and talk more about Game Pass. But before we do, I want to tell you guys about our Discord server. We would love for you to join our Discord server. We have a small, very small group of people on our Discord server, and we do want to grow it. But, I'll say it's a very inviting place. It really is. Like, we just talk games over there. We talk about the polls. We just do all kinds of stuff. And it's just daily fun gaming conversations in a very accepting server. So,
It is. It is. There should be a link in the description of this video, and I bet you it even works.
We found out that the link didn't work for I don't know how long, until someone was like, oh, the link doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently invite links on Discord expire.
They can. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I found that out when I created the new one, and it was like, how long do you want this link to work? And I was like, oh, that's the problem.
Forever.
I want it to last forever. So yeah, now it should work. You should be able to join the Discord server. All right. So let's say Microsoft decides that they don't care about having a console, and they do want to go all in on Game Pass. Game Pass is their future. What if they were to put it on other consoles? We've heard rumors that it might happen.
Yeah, we've heard those for quite a while. So, we asked the Gaming Gig faithful, I said that weird, would you subscribe to Game Pass if it were on these other consoles? 44% said, yeah, I would subscribe to the Netflix of games. 25% said, no, I don't think I would. 24% said, I already have the Netflix of games. And at 7%, people said, what the crap is Game Pass?
And now, I included I don't know what Game Pass is because I don't think that everyone does know what Game Pass is. In fact, we had some people in our Discord ask what it was. We had comments.
We did. That surprised me, too.
Yeah. And you just assume people know about it. But
yeah.
I do think that it's still a little bit hidden. I think Xbox has done a good job promoting it for sure. But a lot of people maybe know of it, but they don't even know exactly what it is. So this comment we have here says, what is Game Pass? Oh, this is from Cassia De Niro said, what is Game Pass? Is it like GameFly?
Yeah. No, it's more like Netflix.
Yeah. I mean, and GameFly is like old school Netflix. This is like new school Netflix.
Yeah, this is new school Netflix where you launch the app and you pick your movie and you watch it. You pick your game and you play it, or you download it. But a lot of times you can cloud stream them, so you don't even have to download them a lot of the time. GameFly is where they sent you the DVD in the mail, and you played it, and you sent it back, and they sent you another one.
Right. Which I use GameFly still. That is my service that I love, adore. To me, it's great. But Game Pass is also a very good service. The only reason I prefer GameFly over it is that GameFly has a larger selection of games over across many consoles. It's got Switch games, PlayStation, Xbox.
And generations.
Yeah. So I am able to play pretty much all the games instead of being limited to whatever's in the Game Pass library. Although admittedly, the Game Pass library is quite large and does have a lot of great games. It just doesn't have everything.
Right. Can't get Switch. Can't get PlayStation.
Exactly.
Can't get 3DS.
Right. Exactly.
GameFly is pretty cool in that way.
But that's what Game Pass is, by the way. If you were this far in and you're like, what is this? I'm sorry you were confused. Hope we cleared it up at least a little bit.
Yep. All right. We got another comment from Alessandro who said, yes, I would. Most of the time I play games on my Switch. If a game isn't on this platform, I play it on PC. But because of this, I don't spend that much time on my PC. A lot of the games in Game Pass are games I would like to play on my Switch.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who the Switch is their main system, and I don't blame you. Honestly, I love the Switch. I was thinking the other day, I just was thinking to myself, if I could only have one place to play games, where would it be? And as odd as it is, even though it's the weakest, I think I would pick Switch over even the PlayStation, PC, or Xbox, just because I love the Switch and I love the handheld form factor. It's just that convenient to me. And the Nintendo games.
Yeah, I love the Switch. I mean, I would have to say Steam Deck. But what is the Steam Deck other than going even further into the total freaking dream that the Switch let me live?
Right, exactly.
I would not be head over heels in love with my Steam Deck if I hadn't had a Switch first.
Exactly.
And I know that.
So, there's been rumors that Xbox potentially wants to bring Game Pass to the Switch and or the PlayStation.
Yeah.
the question is, would they allow? Like, would Nintendo want Game Pass? Does PlayStation want Game Pass on their system?
I don't really see what Nintendo has to lose for the most part. Because the closest thing they have to a Game Pass competitor is for playing retro games.
Yeah, they don't have like an equivalent service for sure.
So I don't see how that would hurt Switch sales.
I don't think it would hurt Switch sales. I think it would hurt Switch software sales. And Nintendo gets a cut of every bit of software that's sold on their system. So I think that for that reason, they may not. I want to jump ahead here because Guy had a comment that I think relates and fits really well right here in the conversation. Guy said, it would be interesting for sure. I can kind of see Nintendo allowing Game Pass cloud service on their platform instead of the local downloads. That way they wouldn't have to mess with the restraints of the console and keep the same library of available games. Sony would probably never allow it just because they have their own direct Game Pass competitor. So that's interesting that maybe you could just, it could be like another device that you could do the Xbox cloud gaming on, you know.
That's kind of what I think would happen because it's just not that powerful. Right. You know, so how are you going to open up the entire Game Pass library?
You wouldn't. There's no way you could.
You couldn't. But if you cloud streamed, I almost said cloud strummed.
That too.
Then maybe you could.
Well, you could have all the games that are available on cloud, which is really cool because then you could be playing Starfield on your Switch.
Right.
I think if they did bring like a local download version to Switch, it would have to be a separate library of games, just like they have a separate library game for PC and console. I think we'd have another library of games that was just for Switch, and it would be its own tier. It would be its own price, probably $9.99 a month. And it would just be games that happen to also be available on Switch because there is a lot of overlap of games that are on both.
Yeah, and I wonder what kind of cut Nintendo would get from that because you know they got to get their cheddar.
Yeah, and I don't think they would get enough because you know they're instead of getting, say they get 10%. I don't know what number they get. Let's just say they get 10%. If they get 10% of a $60 game, that's $6 for them. If they get 10% of a $10 subscription, okay, all of a sudden they're talking about $1. So,
and it's $1 for a bunch of games, too.
Right, yeah.
The ratio is way skewed.
Right. There. So I don't know if they would want it. And I agree with Guy that I don't think Xbox would probably love to have Game Pass on PlayStation.
Hell yeah, they would.
PlayStation, they have their own direct competitor with PlayStation Plus now.
That's not going to happen, yeah.
No.
They wouldn't have created that if eventually they were going to just allow Game Pass to come over.
Right. And like PlayStation Plus has a lot of great stuff. I think that a lot of people still feel that Game Pass has a better selection at the end of the day, and it has potentially a better pricing structure. So I think for a lot of reasons, I think the Game Pass would hurt PlayStation Plus's market share if they let it on PlayStation.
Oh yeah, it would definitely hurt it for sure. But we don't want to skip over D1 Usions of Grandeur here. So D1 Usions of Grandeur said, it's an amazing service, but if it would then give Nintendo and PlayStation access to all the Xbox games, that would 100% result in the death of the Xbox. It's an extremely bad idea to give all your games away to competitors. It seems most people truly want Xbox to die when they are the only company actually trying to do great things for the consumer.
And Xbox is pro-consumer.
That's what I was trying to say earlier. Like, I feel like, this may come off as we're crapping on Xbox, but the reason we have all these critiques and questions about what they're doing is because they're the only company doing this.
Yeah, they're doing some really great stuff. Unfortunately, there's just not really great games associated with it. Which is, I mean, I think there's potential that we're going to get some. I think that I'm very hyped about the new Hellblade game.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a great game. But one game isn't enough. Obviously, there are other things that are good. I love the Forza games.
Yeah, there are good things for sure. It's just like it doesn't seem like they've had that game where they like hyped it and it delivered. Like it just seems like everything they've really hyped has either been like okay, or like holy crap, this sucks.
And then when they do have a game that delivers, because they don't hype. Hi-Fi Rush, no hype.
Hi-Fi Rush was awesome too.
No, there's now rumors that Hi-Fi Rush is going to be going to other systems as well.
It would be perfect on Switch too. That game would fit the Switch so well.
And the thing is, I don't know. So
the thing is, I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I do know, but I realize I want to finally go into the real question of the matter. We've kind of gone through all the evidence, you could say. It's time to make the verdict of do we personally think that Xbox should stop making consoles? But before we do that, I do want to tell you guys about our Twitch channel. I know, I'm just like, let me introduce the topic and then immediately
do that
change.
every time.
But before we do that, I do want to tell you about Switch. And sorry, not Switch,
Twitch.
They sound very similar.
They do.
So also in the links in the description of this video, you're going to find a link to our Twitch channel. We stream there on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, but recently we've been doing a lot of just kind of one-off random streams whenever we can. So
Yeah.
you definitely want to be following over there so that you get notifications and know when we go live. Another good thing about the Discord channel, those notifications go there as well.
Yes, they do. Yeah, you don't want to miss it. You know, we've been doing a lot of different things. I mean, Randy's been playing Control. Randy's been doing some just chatting streams. I have been whole hog into Sea of Thieves just at random times when I got home from work. So just come hang out with us. You know, we're trying to do something cool over there.
All right, now for the big wrap-up discussion. Do we personally think Xbox should stop making consoles? Daniel, I want you to start it. What do you think? What's your gut decision?
My gut decision, I think that it is a logical next step. And the reason I think that is because they've already stopped making games.
Oh, yeah, he said the joke.
Zinger!
Burn. Yeah.
Take that, Tim Howard.
Before we started the podcast, we were talking about it, and Daniel said, well, he said the joke.
I said the joke.
He said the joke, and I was like, oh, that's a burn. He's like, I'm going to say it on the podcast.
Yeah, I've been cooking that one.
Okay, now that you've got your joke out, is that how you really feel? Do you really feel like that it's the next logical step for them just to give up on making consoles?
I think it would make me sad because they've been around for so long, and nostalgia is a hell of a drug. But I myself have already decided I ain't going to buy anymore unless something crazy happens. So I think, it kind of makes sense. And if they want to take that money that they're putting towards developing the hardware towards their software, maybe their games, or towards Game Pass. And I mean, if they want to do something great with that stuff and just stop half-assing things and whole-ass one thing, as Ron Swanson would say, then I would support them in that. And I do want them to succeed.
Go all in on Game Pass. Just
Sure.
like go all in on it.
Yeah.
I think that there are definitely some reasons that might be a good idea. I am a little concerned about that. I personally don't think they should stop making consoles. And I'll tell you why. Number one, I don't want PlayStation to not have a direct competitor. Okay.
And they wouldn't.
And you could argue that PC is already a direct competitor with PlayStation. I do think it is, but I do think that the console market is still largely separate from the PC market. I do think there's a lot of overlap with Xbox specifically, but because PlayStation doesn't have that overlap, I think they kind of they would exist on their own in sort of a little bubble.
They would.
And I think that would be very bad for gaming in general. I think that if you let a company like PlayStation have no competition, I think that the quality of games could slip. I think that they could just put out things that they know you're going to buy it because they're the only one in town.
That's not wrong. And
So
also,
that's one of my big reasons.
if we've already decided that PlayStation ain't going to let Game Pass on there,
Right.
where's Game Pass going to go if they're not making their hardware?
Okay, and that's my next reason is exactly that. We have been praising Xbox when we're not tearing them down this podcast. We've been praising them for having the options for people to be able to game wherever they want, whether it be on a PC, whether it be on a phone, whether it be on a tablet or an Xbox.
Right.
I think if they got rid of the Xbox, well, that's one less place that people can play Game Pass. And I think that they probably have stats showing that a big portion of the people who play games on Game Pass are playing on Xbox.
Yeah. How many people have we talked to, including us, who've said, well, we wanted a Game Pass machine?
Exactly.
You know?
So I don't think they need to get rid of it. I think they should maybe stop caring if their console sells really well. Personally, because
Do you think they still care?
I think they do. Well, I mean, how can they not? But I mean, I think that they don't need to try to worry about it selling the same number as a PS5 because I don't think it's going to because they've spread out where their games are at so much that of course it's not.
Right.
And when you add on top of that their games aren't as compelling in the first place, then double certainly it's not going to sell as much.
Right. And I also, I don't think we are to a point where cloud gaming is like ready to just be the thing.
No.
And if you get rid of the Xbox, then you're taking away basically one of the pillars of places you could actually play that crap natively.
Right. Besides PC.
So that's tough right there. And for that reason I'm changing my mind.
You're changing your mind.
I'm changing my mind. I don't think I'll buy one, but it might be good that they keep making them.
That's kind of where I land too. I don't know that I don't know that I'll buy an Xbox in the future. I would be interested to see what, after the Series X and S, what they do to make it a compelling reason to want to buy one. Because for me, the Series X was like, okay, I get a fairly powerful console, or at least the most powerful console on the market, and then I get access to Game Pass. Now, I've dropped off of Game Pass, so now my Xbox gets less and less love.
Right.
And so I'm starting to see like, oh, maybe I should just get a nice gaming PC. But, that's not going to work for everybody.
No.
So many, consoles are $400-$500. The Series S you can find on sale for like $200-$250. I mean, it can be dirt cheap.
And that would be a great alternative if all you want is a Game Pass machine. I think that might be the place to go, if I'm being honest. I just don't know that I would want to spend $500 on a Series X again when the Series S can do most of it
for half the price. Yeah. No kidding. You're not kidding.
And maybe that's the future of Xboxes. A little lower powered, a little cheaper, but gives you a place to play these Game Pass games.
Well, I mean, that's a whole other conversation to have. Is the Series S like bringing down the quality of games in the industry? These games that want to be cross-platform because they have to be played on the Series S as well. That's maybe another conversation for another podcast. But I'm at where I stand right now, and it sounds like you as well now. I do think they should keep making consoles. I think it's good for the consumer. I think it's good for competition. I just think that they should stay in the game.
Competition is always good for us. And I want to be pro-consumer, so I'm going to change my mind.
Although, at the same time, I agree with you in that I would love to see what it would be like if they put their full force behind Game Pass to see what it could do.
Yeah, I mean, I would be curious, but at the same time, if I where are you going to play it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd play it on my PC, I guess.
I would argue that they don't put that much money towards developing the consoles anyway. I mean, we literally saw this generation of Xboxes were just like a black box or a white box. You can't tell me they put too much R&D into these things.
And the UI felt like the same.
It is the same. It's not felt the same. Yeah. It was the exact same.
I occasionally will get a little jab in at the controller, and that's just because I feel like it's getting left behind and it's holding things back because I don't care that much about the battery. I just know Randy likes it. I like to give him a hard time about it. But I do wish it was rechargeable out of the box. But on top of that, it needs gyro. This controller needs gyro in it. Like everything else has got gyro. And now that I've played games with it, I realize how good it can be. And I wish more devs would lean into gyro. But why would they if Xbox doesn't have it? Like it needs to be a universal thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that the current Xbox controller is an Xbox 360 controller, but just nicer specs in it. Like they've changed nothing about it.
Right.
Basically.
And it's comfortable. It's not like it's a bad experience. It's just, I just feel like it's a little behind the times.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
100%. All right, guys. We're going to move into our last segment. Before we do, give us a comment and let us know, what do you think about this Xbox stuff? Do you think that Xbox should stop making consoles? Do you think that they should lean more into making consoles? Do they need to focus on their games, not worry about Game Pass? Like, just let us know anything.
Cancel Game Pass. Make great games.
Right.
Somebody probably feels that way.
Probably. Yeah. Probably. Just let us know anything and everything about, what we talked about today. But for the final segment, you guys, you hung out with us this entire time.
And it wasn't easy. We know it.
Yeah, we know it wasn't easy. That's why we want to thank you and shout you out at the end of the next podcast. Just say thanks for hanging with us.
That's right. We do that through our 3 for Dale Club. So the 3 for Dale Club is an exclusive club. All you got to do to join is watch to the very end and drop us a comment that says whatever the crap you want to say, including 3 for Dale.
That's right. It's our secret code phrase, and we look for that code phrase to let us know who we need to shout out at the end of the next episode. So, starting off today, we got Landon Stallings, who is like Dale himself. We've said it many, many times. Dude's always there for us. Landon said, I will be super disappointed if the Switch 2 isn't backwards compatible.
Us too, man.
And that was the topic of the last podcast. Go back and watch that. It was a good one.
Yeah.
I'll be super disappointed. Agreed.
Yes. Next up, we have D18.
Who is also always there for us.
Always. He's a big Peyton Manning fan because 18 was Peyton Manning's number. Omaha.
Next, we got Benjamin Darling, who said, with all the Switch talk, I wanted to say that due to your guys' excitement regarding Tears of the Kingdom around its release, I finally pulled the trigger, picked up Breath of the Wild this week, and plan to play both. Gonna see what the hype is about.
Oh, it's real. The hype's real, man. The hype is about real stuff.
Oh, man.
You're going to love them.
Yep, love them. All right, next we got... Oh, I was stolen from you, Daniel. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in the line there. You go for it.
I'm telling you what.
I know.
You pump the brakes, Cody.
I'll do it.
Next up, we got Bobbity, who said, honestly, I could ride the Switch out longer. I'd like to see it be the console that lasts a decade.
Hey.
I mean, that's cool sounding, but I'm ready.
I mean, I'm ready. I'm excited. But you know what? In a way, I get to see it. You know, like, I don't care about the specs anymore. I just don't. Like, after I just played Avatar, and like that game just reinforced to me how it doesn't matter how pretty your game is, how realistic the graphics are. If the game's not good,
right,
it's not a good game. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I mean, yeah, it's nice to have eye candy. And when you get both, it's amazing.
That's why you watch us.
Yeah, that's right. But the Switch, it doesn't matter what power Nintendo's putting games out on. They make great games.
Right.
And that is what excites me the most. So if they were like, hey guys, look, we're just going to leave this thing going for 10 years. You know what? I'd be like, I'm in. I don't care.
I'll play whatever. Would explode.
I'll play whatever you put out because I love their games that much.
I would too. And I love the Switch, and it's my favorite, probably my favorite console of all time. And I would love for it to have all the records and everything, and it's already close anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of it. So, like, I'm not mad to still have it. I just, I am getting really excited about a new one.
Yeah.
So
the anticipation is real.
It is real. I am on the edge of my seat with bated breath. Anyway, go on, Randy.
All right, next in 3 for Dale Club, we got Kitaclysm. What's up? Good to have you back.
And next up, we got another returning member. We got Tom Derry.
Oh,
Tom hangs out over on Discord all the time.
That's right. Next, speaking of another Discord member, we got Laninator, who said, put me in, coach. I'm ready to sail. He's ready to play Sea of Thieves with us, man. When are you going to teach him how to play?
Dude, I'm down. I'm down to do that. I think he said he was going to download it on his Xbox, so he's probably got it ready to go now.
He probably does.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it, Laninator. Next up, we got Morris Dennison, who said, super excited for today's podcast, guys.
That was a nice little comment. Morris is always there at the very beginning of the episode, dropping like a, man, looking forward to it. That is awesome. I love to see those comments. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right. And finally, we got Punchy Punch, who actually left us 3 for Dale on the previous one, but it was after we recorded the last podcast, so it was more. So bring him in. He said, hearing Daniel's Tekken rant was by far the best part of this podcast.
Yeah.
He loves fighting games.
He is a huge fighting game fan. And when I read this comment, I went back because I was like, I know I had a Tekken rant. I just don't remember what I said. And I went back and watched it. And it might have been my finest hour.
I don't even really remember. I think you were just like excited about Tekken. Right?
It was, well, there's a section of the podcast where you labeled the chapter Daniel's Tekken rant. And it's when I doubled back to Tekken. When we were talking about Yakuza, and I started talking about the bears and just the weird lore, and I am so excited. And Punchy Punch reached out to me recently because he found a place pretty close to us who does like fighting game tournaments. They do like Smash tournaments and Street Fighter 6 and things like that. And
you gonna go compete?
So far, we have a gig every single time they do Smash.
Oh no!
But I would love to go at some point.
Yeah.
So
go and compete and see how well you do.
They do doubles tournaments.
I know you've often mused about what it would be like to compete in a Smash tournament.
It would be so fun. I know I wouldn't win, but it's like a bucket list thing. You know, like I just want to do it. And they have a doubles like tournament, and I'm just gonna go and say it. Me and Kayla would be pretty tough if we were on doubles team.
Yeah, we'd
be pretty tough.
You and old Punchy Punch.
Yeah, with his Falcon, like going in, and my Samus being like an Apache helicopter, like providing artillery support. Like, that'd be tough.
I like to see you. I like to hear you fantasize about this. This is nice.
It gets me excited.
I'm glad something out there can excite you in this world, Daniel. I'm glad one thing, just the thought of competing in a Smash tournament.
I think I often.
Are you easily excitable? Yeah. Yep. You heard it here, guys.
Yes,
you can tell by the look. He's like, why, yes, I am easily excitable. Can you not tell? All right. Well, we should probably end it on there before we let this thing derail any further. What do you say?
It wasn't me, man.
Yeah. It was
I think you should go as far as you wanted to go.
it was a team effort, right?
You know, and when I get derailed, you often try to correct my course, and sometimes I'm not done yet. So in this situation, I'm going to let you play it out.
I'm done now.
Okay.
I'm done now. All right, guys. Until next time, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
This has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.